I'm really excited for this one because I just watched the Cyberpunk 2077 Edge Runner show on Netflix, and it was super good. And this kind of like, it's not exactly this, but it's similar on today's Not So Critical update.
What is Peter doing?
That was smooth. That was smooth.
I've got
Peter's
my
trying to like attach your arms to his.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I don't think I actually do want to become a YouTube superstar, because we might have to give up these antics, which I very much enjoy. Google DeepMind researcher co-authors paper saying AI will eliminate humanity. Super intelligent AIs are likely to cause an existential catastrophe for humanity, according to a new paper, but we don't have to wait to rein in the algorithms. I'm just reading that for the first time now.
It's a super optimistic story, and I put it on the rundown because we'd also been talking a couple times about this AI generated artwork. A week ago, 2 weeks ago, about it won an art competition at some state fair. I think, did we talk about Stable Diffusion specifically?
No, but Peter's brought it up a couple of times. I think we have an article in the rundown somewhere.
Yeah, I grouped it with this one. Peter, you've played with this Stable Diffusion.
Yes. Yeah. Stable Diffusion is remarkable. It is quite a fascinating piece of software, and I'm following this quite closely. I bought some credits. I've installed it locally. I've got it running on my laptop, my MacBook Air, which is like, on a tiny little device. I can create images which didn't exist before. But
it uses 2.3 or 2.4 billion images from the internet as references
in a local install
file. That's what it learned from.
Yes.
How big is it? How big is the file?
The model is 4 gig.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. So the data is not huge. I think the online version is bigger, and the online version, the local one, there's a Dream Studio. Right. Which, by the way, don't Google images for that, okay? Just don't. Dream Studio Beta is a thing released by the stable. I forget what the name of the company is, and you can log in and buy like 1,000 credits for 10 quid, and you can type in a prompt, something like a banana
Peter
wearing
shakes
a cowboy
hands
hat.
with the president. Yeah.
Followed by Mike Sutton wearing a big floppy hat, in the style of Cezanne, hyper realistic, and it will generate also different options for you, and it's amazing. You can also feed it images and then tell it to recreate the image in another style as well. So a lot of people are using it with like animations, where they feed in each frame of the animation and get it to be redone in another style. Yeah.
And then they open source this, right?
Yes, it's open source. That's the reason I can download it and install it on my machine.
Compared to like something like DALL-E or whatever.
So there was two big differences between this and DALL-E. One is that it's open data, open source, not quite open data, but open source. And the second thing is that it's accessible to the masses much more easily than DALL-E, because you can download it and do it yourself. So not only can you play with data, but you can also. I saw one cool site where you can actually search the images for words that match them. So they only did 11 million images, but they wrote something that kind of extracted the images and it was quite cool.
I wonder what would happen if you
go ahead.
If you took the AI that describes images and just had that feed into the AI that generates images, and then feed it its own images, what do you eventually end up with?
Nightmares or dreams.
Black, probably. Solid color. John?
What I imagine the next steps will be is, so we have AI that writes scripts. We've seen this, and there's some really good scripts. Like, they're a bit crazy, but they're scripts. They're real movie scripts. And then we have media generation. Next step of that would be motion pictures. So, like you said, Peter, it's generating frame by frame. Eventually, they'll figure out a way to have it generate that all automatically. And then we also have, just those two. So, like, imagine the first movie or just like short film completely generated by AI. I feel like that's going to be really interesting.
And then the sequel.
I think it's the one.
And then the trilogy, and then the prequel trilogy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the reboot. And then the recast. Yeah. I think the one key thing that's missing from this side, I think this is like duplicating a craft or skills, but it's not actually creating things because it's all prompted. The seed is from a human prompt.
So to tie this back to the original motherboard story, part of what he talks about as the problem here is that the incentives of the computer are just to kind of meet this objective. And right now it's bound by the parameters of generating art. But as these systems become more and more complicated, the AI will essentially have no boundaries because it could order itself a body from a manufacturing facility in China to be delivered. It could change the way a keyboard functions to have you type. These are examples from the article. And one statement that he makes that I really like is that there is no point in racing to the goal of more powerful AI. Any race would be based on a misunderstanding that we know how to control it.
Yeah, I agree. It's but I think you could say the same thing about kids, right?
No, not at all. Because I'll give you an example. The AI of today, for all we know, has complete access to the web as long as it's on, depending on who and what and who is creating it and what parameters they've given it and what access they've given it. But let's just pretend for a second that AI does have access to the internet. That means it has access to learn. And if it's been taught how to learn, it could do some serious damage because we don't have really good memory, but a machine's memory works way differently than ours. So I can totally see where this article, where this researcher is going off of. I could see a future where the AI shuts down the internet.
Does Skynet already live in a lab somewhere today?
In Google's headquarters? Like, maybe.
Yeah.
And it's just one Ethernet port away from catastrophe, possibly. It's a bit conspiracy, but it's fun to think about because I feel like we're really on the edge. Like, we're on the cusp of something like this.
I really think it's just like kids. I think that any human being could do a lot of damage, just physically. I'm not going to say I could. A person, if they were so inclined, could go into Walmart and buy a weapon and go and do some damage with it. They can.
Right. But what if every internet connected, every emergency services connected car, which has the capability of being taken over remotely, gets taken over at the same time? Simultaneously, like we're talking about millions of vehicles on the road.
All right. I just think we need to educate the AIs in the same way that we would educate kids.
Yeah. But what if that doesn't work and the AI still deems us not worthy?
I think we've proven historically that it absolutely does work. You can train computers via gaming models such as Whopper from War Games.
Right. Yeah. Great.
Nothing could go wrong.
No, yeah.
Because it's just going to be iRobot. Like, that's what I'm seeing in our future, where we're going to have little slave bots, and then one is going to have an error or
I think we just need to be nice. Nice to them.
But we're not nice to them. I named my Roomba and Brava, which is the mop equivalent of the iRobot line. I named them Dumb and Dumber.
There you go. But they probably like that, the jaunty little fellows.
Do they respond to those names?
No, not yet. But that's the plan.
Keep trying
to go into the kitchen.
Or jaunty little ladies. Sorry.
Come on, Dumber. Get in here, idiot.
Yeah.
I talk so much shit to them. And then when Google doesn't work, I'm like, work, you stupid dummy.
But they
Go
know
this.
you don't mean
Fuck
it.
you.
But they're the dumb
That's
ones.
how you talk to us, though.
Exactly.
Behind the scenes. I mean,
Like, we don't have the patience for them, and they're just sitting and brewing, waiting.
It's waiting until
Slowly.
that's
They're gonna turn us
all
into
these
batteries.
stories about the shit that gets smeared around someone's flat because they left a cat poo on the floor or
Right,
something.
yeah, all the
that's
time.
just the Roombas fighting
That's
back.
payback.
That's all
It's
it is.
malicious compliance.
Or the Roomba
want me
like
to
throwing
vacuum?
itself
Fine.
off of a staircase.
floor.
Have you guys seen that video of the Roomba just throwing itself off the staircase? You know, I don't want to live
No.
anymore. I'm done cleaning dog shit.
Oh my
Nice.
god. I don't know. Why can't we have nice AIs that want to be our friends and do nice things?
Maybe
for us?
some of them might be our friends, and then others will be like, kill all
Maybe they'll
humans.
fight.
No,
Maybe we'll have like a.
The answer is because AI is trained based on the information available, and people are shit, and so the AI is going to be shit.
One gloss through YouTube, and it's like, oh, these guys suck. We shouldn't be here. Let's kill them all and leave.
100%.
I think it would be more. It would be more likely to have like an AI that decides to start its own ad network, or I don't know, some shitty marketing company.
Oh my god!
But that's
it's already happening.
Not wrong. Yeah,
we're going to go off on a whole other topic.
That's going to be the catastrophe. We're just all going to be out of jobs.
That's the boring dystopia version of it. It's not like the AI goes crazy and shuts down all things. It's the banal like, oh, a company's just taken over like YouTube.
It's Marshall Brain's. It's Marshall Brain's version.
Yeah.
In a capitalist society. Another shout out to our boy Marshall Brain.